Hello everyone, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I hope all of you are doing good. This is the weekly market update live stream, and I would like to welcome all of you to my channel. If you are new to my YouTube channel, please make sure to subscribe to it. If you have not liked the live stream yet, please make sure to do it right now. And if you're not following me over Twitter, 𝗟𝘅𝗶𝗵𝘁𝘀, this is my Twitter handle. I occasionally post market updates and calls over my Twitter account as well. You can see that, some of the recent limit orders I already have posted over my Twitter account. So if you're not following me over Twitter, please make sure to do that. 𝗟𝘅𝗶𝗵𝘁𝘀. This is my Twitter handle. And finally, if you would like to receive more organized updates and calls, you can always join in the Discord server. The link you can find in the description of this video. Let's start the stream, and before I move on to the update part, first of all, let me give you a quick update on the few limit orders that we have placed, because we have 4 or 5 limit orders already placed. All right, so you can see that this limit order that we have placed on ARB, this one is about to get filled. Price is just 1 or 2% away from our entry point, because it's a limit order and many people always place the limit order at the same level, at the same entry point. So it's very natural that it's not going to get filled easily. Price would just continue to consolidate in the same entry range for some time, and then it would just get filled. All right, but yeah, just wanted to give you a brief overview of the coins that we have placed the limit orders on. By the way, when it comes to limit orders, sometimes almost 80 to 90% of the times I am always sharing the limit orders for free on my Twitter account as well. This is not the case with the market orders. This is not the case with the rest of the 70-80% calls. Those are simply just for the members of the Discord server. But whenever it's a limit order, most of the times I try to simply just drop the call on my Twitter account as well, or any other free platform that we have available. So these are the few coins that we have limit orders placed on ARB. This one is about to get filled. We placed another one on MAV as well. Okay, this one was almost 50%, 60% up from our entry point, and now on the 4-hour time frame chart, you can see that price is just slowly dropping. Obviously, on the daily time frame chart, it's simply just going to look like a huge wick. It's obviously not going to get filled today. You can see that I already have an alert placed close to the entry point. So whenever price just reaches close to the entry point, that's when I would simply just alert in my channel also that price is about to fill the entry point. So MAV, this is the second coin that we have a limit order on. You can see that on LQTY as well. The idea behind placing all of these limit orders is very much the same, because I am expecting that Bitcoin possibly would drop down to the initial drop. In a short term, I'm expecting a drop down to 104.5K, 105,000, and we are literally sitting at 106.3K, meaning that we are only almost $1,400 to $1,500 away from my point of interest. So this is not going to be any surprising thing. But since Bitcoin dominance has been going up, since total 2 is at resistance, since total 3 is at resistance, since others.d has been acting up, so it's not really going to be a surprise that altcoins would drop 10 to 15%. So in my opinion, it's a good idea to place a few limit orders instead of just waiting for price to drop back down to these support levels and then reacting. Okay, so this is a question that I specifically wanted to respond to because I have been getting a lot of similar queries with people asking that what's the reason that we are placing all of these limit orders. The reason is because let's suppose Bitcoin just in a matter of few hours, because we are just almost like 18 minutes away from the US Open. We know that anything could be happening in the, during the US Open, there could be a lot of volatility, especially considering that price has been consolidating in the same range for the past few days. And this is usually a very common phenomena whenever there is a volatile move in one direction, whenever there is a huge impulsive move in one direction, price would simply just consolidate. It could simply just be accumulation, it could simply just be distribution phase, and then later on you would have another impulsive move in one direction. So one thing is for sure, an impulsive move is going to happen in the next few hours or maybe in a day or two. So I'm expecting that this move most likely is going to be towards downside. So imagine that if price on all of these altcoins drops back down to these support levels, how would you react at the at that time? How would you drop the limit orders, or how would you get into all of these coins at the same time at the market price? So it's a bit of a difficult thing. So that is why I thought, instead of just reacting, instead of simply just placing the limit orders and waiting for price to go back down to these support levels and then reacting, why not simply just place the limit orders if I believe that, okay, the daily time frame structure on most of these coins is looking good, has turned bullish, and we have the daily fair value gaps, we have daily order blocks, and then we have, in most of the cases, we have 1-day 12-period exponential moving average. In some cases we have the quarterly and yearly VWAPs also. In fact, with all of the calls that I usually share, I make sure to give a proper reasoning as well. I make sure to attach the proper reasoning, and I make sure to attach the rating with all of these setups as well. So you can see that what's the reason behind taking this setup. So yeah, these are the 2 or 3 coins that I'm looking to enter as soon as we have a drop down to maybe 104.5k MAV. The long position for this I dropped just a few hours ago. LQTY, the long position for this I dropped almost like back on last Friday. ARB and HFT, this one as well. So yeah, I am expecting that as soon as we have a drop down to 104.5k or maybe lower as well. It really depends on USDT dominance. I'll be talking about that part later on, but yeah, I'm expecting that as soon as we have a drop down to 104.5k, most of these limit orders are going to get filled. Okay, so this is about some of the limit orders that we have placed. By the way, we have one placed on SEI as well. This one is going to take some time because it's quite far away from the entry point, and it's a strong coin, by the way, strong in comparison to the rest of the market. But yeah, the overall setup on this coin is looking really good. We have another break of structure, so I'm expecting that price at this point is definitely going to react. And a lot many of you asked me about setup on this coin. So that is why I already have it shared in my channel a few days ago. Price is just far away from the entry point. You can see that I already have an alert set. So whenever price drops back to the entry point, I would alert in my channel also that it's about to get filled. Now let's talk about Bitcoin. And nothing much has changed, to be honest, since the last Thursday when we had our last live stream. In that live stream, we discussed how price at some point in time is definitely going to break below this 106.5k level. I was during that stream, if you guys remember, or if you would simply just go and watch that live stream, I was explaining that if you get an opportunity to long Bitcoin at 106.5k, that is going to be a pure scalping opportunity, because you cannot expect the price to bounce at 106.5k and go up to maybe 112k or create a new higher high, because 106.5k, this is indeed a support. Price has almost always reacted at this support level. So yeah, price at this point also is most likely going to give some sort of a bounce at this 106.5k support level. But two things I would like to point out here. First, whenever there is a first retest of any of these support and resistance levels, that is your single best opportunity to get into a long or a short position, which is exactly what happened around here. Okay, this was the first retest, and if you would go and watch that live stream, I did explain some of the previous examples also, like this one, and this one, and a few other examples as well, in which the first retest was indeed a successful one. Okay, this is the first thing. And the second statement that I'm about to say, it's very important that whenever price is retesting a level over and over again, and the bounces are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, that's when you know that price is about to break above or below that level. So in this case, bounces or rejection, sorry. So if price is hitting into a support over and over again, then at some point in time, it's definitely going to break below that support, but only if the retracements, or in this case, bounces are getting smaller. Or if price is heading into a resistance level over and over again, and the rejections are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, that's when you know that, okay, price is about to break above that resistance level, because sellers, they are no longer interested in selling at that resistance level, or buyers, they're no longer interested in buying at this support level. So the same thing happened. The reason I'm repeating this over and over again is because during that live stream we did establish the fact that 106.5k, the retest has not happened as of yet, but that retest is indeed going to be a good scalping opportunity. And you can see that in almost all of the previous examples that I showed you last time as well, 106.5k retest was a successful one. We have 4 examples around here, then we have 4 examples around here, and this is how price would just eventually break above or below a level. You can see that you had this rejection, then you had this rejection, then you had this last rejection, which was a smaller one in comparison to all of these previous rejections, and finally we had a huge candle break towards upside. So in this case also, the next few hours, the next 4 or 8 hours will decide eventually. But you can see that we had the first bounce at this level, then this was a small bounce. Like if you would draw the support in the form of a rectangle box, you can see that this was also a small bounce. And here you can see that we have like few bounces happening at 106.5k level. Another important thing is that a support is a support as long as price is holding above that level, right? And a resistance is a resistance as long as price is holding below that level. So having said that, you cannot rule out the fact that price is indeed sitting at 106.5k support, right? So there could be a bounce towards 112k in the next few hours. I cannot rule out that thing, but because price has been bouncing off at that level over and over again, and all of these bounces, they're getting smaller and smaller and smaller. You can see that this last 4-hour candle, it was just a very small bounce, right? And in this next 4-hour candle also, which is going to be close to the next 2 hours, you would see that if it gets closed around this level, then most likely we are going to see a price move towards downside. Okay, so one thing that we already have established so far is that because 106.5k support is getting retested over and over again, and the bounces are getting smaller, so most likely price is about to break below 106.5k in the next few hours, and hence we have a few limit orders placed. We do not want to place any market long order right now. Okay, and we simply just want to place a few limit orders. We simply just want to place a few limit long orders, right? Now the next question is that where would you expect the price to go back down to? Like, is it going to be 104.5k? Is it going to be 103.5k? Is it going to be 98k, 99k, 97k? So I would give you all of these different perspectives. So first of all, in a short term, I am expecting a bounce at this anchored VWAP. The reason I'm expecting a bounce at this anchored VWAP, you may have a wick down to 104.5k, 104.8k, but most likely you are going to see some sort of a bounce at this anchored VWAP. Okay, now if you would draw the anchored VWAP, once again, if you had done that in the previous situation, let me do it for you. Okay, this was your anchored VWAP. And you can see how beautifully price was reacting around this anchored VWAP. So this was the last low which got created at 105k, then price went all the way up to 110k. And you can see in this situation that we had this first bounce at this anchored VWAP, then price went under this level, then it just came back up. We had the rejection at this anchored VWAP, we had the second rejection, then price once again came back up. We had this bounce at the anchored VWAP, price fell back under this anchored VWAP. Once again, we had rejection. So you can see that how beautifully this anchored VWAP was reacting. It was giving all of these possible reactions. Literally every single reaction was happening around this anchored VWAP. Now we know that the rule of drawing the anchored VWAP is that as soon as a new low or as soon as a new high gets created, basically you would draw an anchored VWAP using a swing low or a swing high. So in this case, since a new swing low has been created, so you would simply just, draw your anchored VWAP starting from this point. So this has now become your new anchor point. And by the way, this is something that I did mention in my Bitcoin update a few days ago. As soon as a new swing low or swing high gets created, I would simply just update the anchor points and I would share an update with you guys. So I did do that. I did share an update a few days ago when this low got created that now this previous anchor point is no longer valid and you would have to use this new anchor point which was created around 98.2k, right? And we can see that it gave price a perfect bounce somewhere around here, then it gave another bounce at the anchored VWAP somewhere around here. Now you can see that on the 4-hour time frame chart, it's going to look like a wick, okay? But if you would go to, let's suppose on the hourly time frame chart, you may see some sort of a candle close around in this region. But we know that, if you're looking at the higher time frame chart, most likely it's simply just going to look like a wick, okay? So if we break below 106.5k, which we believe that we are eventually going to, which we believe that eventually is going to happen in the next few hours, then most likely you are about to see a bounce at the anchored VWAP. Now, where exactly the anchored VWAP is? Anchored VWAP is 105.5k right now. In my opinion, the first complete retest of anchored VWAP has not happened as of yet. Okay, this was indeed a retest, this one right here, or this one right here. But we have not seen one complete retest of the anchored VWAP. Okay, but at the same time, do not, if you're looking to have a long position at the anchored VWAP, let's suppose at 105.5k, please do not have a very tight stop loss in this situation, because just like this wick went significantly below the anchored VWAP, something similar might be happening around here. Okay, this is the most important thing. Something similar might be happening in this situation also. Like you can see that, you had a significant part of this candle, like you had a huge wick under this anchored VWAP as well. So if something similar happens around here, then you would see a significant part of the wick under this anchored VWAP. Okay, so this is exactly why you wouldn't really want to have a very tight stop loss in this situation. And I must repeat this statement that for as long as we are sitting above 106.5k, we can always go back up to 112k or maybe 125k or maybe 150k, right? Because we are sitting at a support level. And for as long as price is sitting above a support, you should not be explicitly saying that, okay, we are certainly about to break below this 106.5k support. Okay, this is the expectation, but you cannot say it with 100% certainty. One way that you can look at it is by looking at the reaction at that support and resistance level and looking at the reaction at this support. I would expect that we are about to see a break below 106.5k very soon. Okay. And where would you want to go long? If you are looking to open a scalp long position, then the anchored VWAP looks like a reasonable point. Okay, if you are someone who would like to trade based on anchored VWAP, and people have different ways of doing it, and I would tell you a very beautiful strategy based on anchored VWAP. So instead of simply just going long right when the reaction is happening, one thing that you would like to do is whenever you're working with anchored VWAP, just try to draw the anchored VWAP on the hourly time frame chart. I mean, draw it on the swing points based on the daily time frame or on the 4-hour time frame charts. The swing points, the selection of swing points has to be from the 4-hour time frame chart or on the daily time frame chart, meaning that they have to be proper higher time frame major swing highs or major swing lows. Okay, this is the first most important thing. Secondly, you need to visualize the anchored VWAP. If you're trading based on anchored VWAP, you need to visualize it not on the 4-hour time frame chart, but on the hourly time frame chart. Okay, so let's suppose if you are trading based on anchored VWAP and you are looking at this candle, most people, they would simply just not place a limit order around here. Okay, you might be thinking that maybe someone would simply just place a limit order at this anchored VWAP. This is your long limit order. maybe this is going to be a stop loss and this is going to be take profit target. No, this is not how you trade an anchored VWAP, because you want to be sure that the reaction at the anchored VWAP is actually happening. So what you can do is you can drop down to the hourly time frame chart, 1 hour time frame, and you can see that this is what you would be noticing, right? You would wait for price to drop back down to the anchored VWAP. For example, it happened in this situation, and based on that reaction, you would be taking your long or short position. Okay, so let's suppose anchored VWAP, price drops back down to this anchored VWAP. You would wait for price to react at this level. Like you would wait for price to give some sort of a reaction at this anchored VWAP. It could be one, bullish candle close, and that's when you would know that price is indeed reacting at this anchored VWAP, and then you would get into a long position. Okay, but the reason why I'm explaining all of this, although it's not very important in this situation, because we have another very important point around 104.5K. The reason why I'm explaining all of this is because this would help you, trade these continuation, or catch these continuation trades as well. I just showed you the example for the previous situation when this low around 100K level was created. You can see that you had an opportunity to catch $1,500 move around here. You had, in fact, we did that. You had an opportunity to catch a $2,000 move around here. In fact, we did that. It was on Saturday or Sunday. Then you had an opportunity to catch some sort of a move around here. Then you had another very good opportunity to catch a short trade from 106.5K all the way down to 98.2K. Okay. And I was warning over and over again at that time that price is indeed reacting at this, anchored VWAP. So, very likely we are about to see a new lower low. But anyways, in this situation also, you can be sure of one thing that, because you have an anchored VWAP, which you would draw using this major swing low, you need to be sure of one thing, that price most likely is going to react around this level. Okay, meaning that it's in one way going to act as a point of control. If price is sitting above that level, it's going to act as a strong support. As soon as price would fall under this level, it's going to act as a strong resistance level. Very simple, right? But the reason why this level becomes a little bit less significant is because we have a support at 106.5K. Okay, and then we have a very important point of interest around 104.5K. Okay, and then we have the anchored VWAP at 105.5K. Okay, so let's imagine the scenario in which price would drop back down to 104.5K. Okay, and has not closed a candle. It manages to close a 4-hour candle above this anchored VWAP. But in that case, that 4-hour candle close is still going to be, in that case, this 4-hour candle close is still going to be below this 106.5K level. And you can see that in almost all of the previous cases, you can see around here, the 4-hour candle closed below 106.5K, price came back up, retested it as a resistance, and then we had a move downside. Okay, price closed a 4-hour candle below 106.5K, then we had a move all the way down to 102.5K. Price closed a 4-hour candle below 106.5K, then you had a move down to this level right here. Another 4-hour candle closed below, and then you had a move towards downside. So the point is that as soon as you would have a 4-hour candle close below this level, below 106.5K level, then you need to be sure of the fact that, okay, 104.5K, that is your point of interest. You may be able to catch a move from 104.5K all the way up to 106.5K, but 106.5K is indeed going to act as a strong resistance level, and it's going to be a shorting opportunity. So I think that at this point in time, because we have too many point of interest around the same zone, so you need to simply just forget about the anchored VWAP at this point. Okay, in order to take a long position, in my opinion, it's not really going to help you. Okay, for taking a short position, yes, it might help you. Okay, because let's suppose that price falls significantly below this level, then 106.5K, 104.5K, both of these regions, they are going to act as strong resistance levels for you. And in the previous situations, the best part was that not only we had 106.5K acting as resistance, but at the same time, we had anchored VWAP aligned perfectly around the same zone. So it was a win-win situation for you in the previous case, right? But in this situation, let's see how anchored VWAP moves, because we know that it is indeed a dynamic line. With the passage of time, it's definitely going to evolve, and maybe it's going to move, maybe it's simply just going to creep back up to 106.5K at some point in time. but right now it's sitting around 105.5K, which is not a huge difference. You just have $1,000 difference between these two levels. So even if you would want to take a short position, let's suppose price drops back down to 102.5K and then it goes back up. Anchored VWAP is at 105.5K. Resistance, horizontal resistance is at 106.5K. That is going to be a perfect shorting opportunity. Okay, that is going to be a perfect shorting opportunity, considering that you have a you have the daily time frame structure, you have the 4-hour time frame structure based on lower lows and lower highs on the Bitcoin chart, and you have the daily time frame structure based on higher highs and the higher lows on the USDT dominance chart. All right, so this is the update from the Bitcoin chart. I have been mentioning this over and over again that 104.5K is a very important point of interest. Now you must be asking this question, that you may have this question in your mind, that why exactly 104.5K is an important point of interest? What exactly so special about 104.5K? Okay, because if you would take a look at the Bitcoin chart, we do not have any 1-day 12-period exponential moving average, quarterly yearly VWAP, no anchored VWAP, nothing around 104.5K. But I have been saying this for the past few months that in order to trade the Bitcoin chart, in my opinion, it's very important to also focus on the USDT dominance chart. In fact, in most of the cases, you would like to focus only on the USDT dominance chart and not on the Bitcoin chart, because on the Bitcoin chart, you may have some sort of noise. And that is why it's going to be important to focus on the USDT dominance chart. And by the way, we have a small positive reaction. You can see that price is indeed reacting at this 106.5K support. But this 4-hour candle close, in my opinion, is going to be a very important one, because this would decide that if this is a weak reaction or if this is a strong reaction. Okay, but in any case, this reaction is going to be a weak one in comparison to these previous reactions. Okay, it's never really a good thing if price is retesting a level over and over again. And the number of wicks that we have seen at 106.5K, it's not really a good idea, right? It's not really a good thing to go long around here, to go long at 106.5K, considering the number of wicks we have at the same price level. Okay, and I would like to see a wick down to at least 104.5K. Now let me explain to you what is so special about 104.5K. And for that to in order to explain that, we have to go to the USDT dominance chart. Okay, let's go to the daily time frame chart of USDT dominance. Okay, now if you are someone who has been watching my previous live streams for the past 1 or 2 weeks, you would already know that the daily time frame structure of USDT dominance is already bearish. Is already bullish. We had the market structure shift back on 4th of June. You can see that, just a quick recap, you have an impulsive wave, corrective wave, impulsive wave, corrective wave, impulsive wave, and then, simply just a change of character or market structure shift happened around here. Okay, and that's when the daily time frame structure of USDT dominance flipped, and at this point in time, all of these moves towards downside that you would see on the USDT dominance chart, they're simply just going to be the retracement waves, and they would eventually give you a new higher high. Okay, this is what our understanding is looking at the USDT dominance chart. You can see that in the previous situation. And by the way, if you would like to know more about this in detail, then you can simply just go and watch the last 2 live streams. Okay, the live streams we had in the past 2 weeks, because I did explain all of these things in detail. In order to find the reversal for this corrective wave or for the retracement wave, all you have to do is simply just draw the Fib retracement level from the start of impulsive wave from the end towards the end of impulsive wave, and then you would have price reacting at 70% or 65% Fib level. Or alternatively, you can simply just draw the volume point of control, start of impulsive wave to the end of impulsive wave. Okay, similar thing we would do around here as well. We can notice that we now have a new break of structure, which means that all you have to do is simply just draw the Fib retracement level from the start of impulsive wave to the end of impulsive wave, and then you would expect the price to give some sort of a reaction at 65% or 70.5% Fib level. The good part is that price is indeed reacting at 65% Fib level. You can see that we had a wick down to 65% Fib level, and then we started making these upside candles, right? And if you would draw the volume point of control also from the start of impulsive wave to the end of impulsive wave, you would notice that we are sitting right at this point of control. Now, the reason why price has been struggling to break above this level, or has been struggling, or you can say that the reason why price on the Bitcoin chart has been struggling to break below 106.5k level, one reason is very obvious, because 106.5k is a strong support. But at the same time, because of 1 day 12 period exponential moving average on the USDT dominance chart. Now we know that 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, this is a very important indicator, right? This is a very important dynamic line. And you can see that, price on the USDT dominance chart almost always reacts at 1 day 12 period exponential moving average. It continued to act as the resistance level. Then we had a break above. It acted as a support. It acted as a support. Then we had a break below. A small reaction happened around here. Price had a break above. It started acting as a support. It started acting as a support, right? Then we had a break below, and now it has been simply just acting as a strong resistance level around here. Okay, so 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, our understanding is that 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, it's a very important dynamic line, meaning that price is indeed going to react at it, right? And this is what has been happening in, during the past few days. On the 4-hour time frame chart, you can see that price has been constantly getting rejected at 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, right? Or has been struggling to go past the 1 day 12 period exponential moving average level, especially on the daily time frame chart. And once we have a complete daily candle close above 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, it definitely is going to be a big thing for the USDT dominance chart, because then eventually there is going to be a possibility then we would have a move towards this major swing high, and then we would end up creating a new higher high. Which EMA is that we're talking about fast? This is 1 day 12 EMA, 1 day 12 1 day 12 period exponential moving average. You can find the script of this indicator. If you would like to have access to the scripts of any of these indicators that I'm talking about, like the quarterly VWAP, ELD VWAP, some of these are the anchored ones, some of these are the rolling ones, some of these are the non-anchored ones, or the 1 day 12 period exponential moving average. It's a very useful indicator because it allows you to have multiple period moving averages applied on your chart at the same time using simply just one indicator. So if you are using a free version of TradingView, or even if you are someone who's a big fan of exponential moving averages, and even if you have a premium version of TradingView, the maximum number of indicators that you can apply on your chart are going to be 25. And this one gives you all of these different options that I found useful myself. And you can apply all of these moving averages at the same time using simply just one indicator. And the best part is that it helps you visualize the higher time frame moving averages on the smaller time frame charts, meaning that if you would change the time frame from daily to 3-day, this moving average time frame is not going to change. It's simply just going to remain at 1 day, which is a big thing, right? And it helps you visualize the higher time frame moving averages on the smaller time frame chart. But just going back to the USDT dominance chart, one thing is that price has been struggling to break above the 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, right? And this is exactly why price on the Bitcoin chart has been struggling to break below 106.5k level. On the higher time frame chart, one thing you need to be sure about is that, and by the way, I have been saying the same thing since price was trading around 4.51% level. Now I absolutely know that I mentioned something similar during our last live stream also, but back on 10th of June, when price on the Bitcoin chart was trading around 109k level, 110,000 level, you saw all of these big Twitter influencers making tweets saying that good luck shorting Bitcoin at 110k, 109k, because of these bullish candle closes we have on the monthly time frame chart, on the weekly time frame chart. And I was giving you an alternate point of view at that time, saying that just forget about the Bitcoin chart, look at the USDT dominance chart, because this is a very big thing, that the USDT dominance chart has already given you a complete structure shift, and that too on the daily time frame chart, right? And that too on the 4-hour, not just on the 4-hour time frame chart, but on the daily time frame chart, right? Which means that this retracement is indeed going to give you a new higher high, and Bitcoin at 110,000 is not going to give you a new all-time high above 112,000, but it would eventually give you a new lower low below 100,000 level. So this is exactly what happened, because we were sitting at this point of control, because we were sitting at the 65% fib level, 70.5% fib level, we had a new higher high created on the USDT dominance chart, and we had a new lower low created on the Bitcoin chart. I'm saying something very similar in this situation also. And by the way, I have been thinking about shorting Bitcoin. It's very likely that as soon as the live stream ends, I'm going to drop a short position on Bitcoin, and that is going to be a big swing short position. The entry point for that short position is very likely going to be around 106.8k, 106.7k. The stop loss is going to be above these highs, above 109k, and the take profit target is going to be around 97k. Because if you go by this chart, because price is indeed reacting at 65%, 70.5% fib level, is indeed reacting at point of control. The same thing is happening, around here. Something similar which happened back on 10th of June, back on 11th of June, when we had small positive reaction around here, and then we ended up having a new higher high. Okay, so something similar is about to happen here, in my opinion. But the reason why I'm thinking about taking a long position at 104.5k is because of this resistance level. Now, remember what I just mentioned at the very beginning of this live stream? Two very important statements. The first one was that whenever price is retesting a level over and over again, and the retracements are getting smaller, be it the bounces, be it the rejections, that at some point in time, it's going to result in price breaking above or below that level. Okay, this is the most important thing. And secondly, I mentioned that the first retest is always your single best opportunity to take a long or a short position. So in this case, on the USDT dominance chart, you can see that price would almost always react at the first retest. This was your first retest, okay? This was your first retest. This was your small first retest. This was your small first retest, okay? This was your first retest. So, on any of these charts that I'm talking about, I'm not just talking about the USDT dominance chart or the Bitcoin chart. On almost any of these charts, you would see that price is, in 90% of the cases, is always reacting at the first retest, at the time of first retest. Which means that although, fundamentally speaking, although on the higher time frame charts, USDT dominance is definitely bullish, and there is an expectation that we would have a new higher high, and then we are going to have a new lower low below 98,000 level eventually in the next few days, obviously. But at the same time, because this resistance has not been retested, we had a drop below this level, then we have simply just been consolidating under this level. You can see that this is a strong level. Historically speaking, price has almost always reacted at this level, be it as a support, be it as a resistance, which means that obviously you cannot trade this chart. But looking at this chart, you would know that whenever price goes back up to this level, you can simply just expect some sort of reaction, some sort of rejection, okay? Which makes me believe that, and by the way, in my latest Bitcoin update that I did share in my channel also, I mentioned that as per my plan, we would have a break below 106.5k, and then we would go back down to 104.5k level, because as soon as we would drop back down to 104.5k level, that's when USDT dominance would hit this resistance level, because you can see that it needs to go up almost 1.44%, right? And that's when it would hit the resistance level. So if you would measure the 1.44% on the, let's use the scale tool. So 1.44% on the Bitcoin chart, it's going to be 105,000, okay? So 104.8k, 105,000, that is where you would expect the price to drop back to on the Bitcoin chart, because that's when price on the USDT dominance chart would be hitting this resistance level at 4.94% level. Okay, so you can simply just set an alert. You can see that I already have an alert set at 4.94% level. So as soon as price on the USDT dominance chart goes back up to this level, that's when I would be thinking about opening a small long position on the Bitcoin chart, because we know that because this is going to be a first retest, even if it happens to be just a small reaction, even if it just happens to be a weak reaction, there is a possibility that price indeed is going to give some sort of a reaction. Maybe it's just going to be a weak bounce. But my expectation is that you would have a drop back down to 104.5k. Then because of this rejection on the USDT dominance chart, okay, obviously USDT dominance would go back up to this resistance level, because it would drop back down, and it would drop back down to this 1-day 12-period exponential moving average, okay? That's when you would have a move up to almost 106.5K, almost up to 107,000 level, okay, on the Bitcoin chart. So a drop back down to 104.5K, then a move up to 107,000 or 106.5K. And then eventually, after a small reaction at that 1-day 12-period exponential moving average, price on the USDT dominance chart would give maybe another reaction, and after that, it would eventually break above this resistance level, reclaim this level, and then it would end up creating a new higher high above this major swing low. So this major swing low is simply just going to turn into a break of structure. So this is my point of view about the Bitcoin chart, about the USDT dominance chart. Let's take a look at the total 2 and total 3 charts as well. Total 3 I would be mainly focusing on. And by the way, in a last altcoin update that I did share yesterday in my channel, I mentioned that you need to be very careful with any market long positions on any of the altcoins. The reason is because total 3 is sitting at the resistance level. Okay. So no matter how bullish you are on any of these charts, no matter how bullish things are looking on any of these charts, you can see that we had this descending trend line. Our belief is that, whenever there is a descending trend line on the charts, price ultimately would give a huge breakout above this trend line. That's going to be a very impulsive break towards upside. So we have a similar kind of trend line on the _D chart. This is the _D chart. You can see that we have a very similar kind of a trend line. In fact, we have this falling wedge pattern on the _D chart, okay, which is sitting on support. Same is the case with total 2 as well. It has this descending trend line. Same is the case with total 3 as well. It has this descending trend line. But the first most important thing is that because total 3 is sitting at this daily time frame resistance level, so you cannot take any long position. So no matter how good the setup is, it eventually is going to face some sort of a drawdown, okay? And remember that all of these charts, they are perfectly synchronized with each other. So at the very start of the live stream, I mentioned that any market long positions are going to be significantly risky. The reason is because Bitcoin dominance is increasing. Now, why exactly is Bitcoin dominance increasing? Because total 2 and total 3, they are sitting at resistance level, okay? And because total 2 and total 3 needs to be rejected at this resistance level, so it's very obvious that Bitcoin dominance would eventually increase, right? So you can just take a look at any of these charts and you would ultimately reach the same conclusion. If you're looking at the Bitcoin dominance chart, you would reach the conclusion that you should not be taking long positions because Bitcoin dominance is increasing. But if you're looking at the total 3 chart, you would take a look at this resistance level and you would say that there is no point taking long positions because total 3 is simply just sitting at the resistance level. So in this situation, although we have this descending trend line, which means that sooner or later price is about to break above this trend line, okay? It's looking very beautiful on the _D chart, in fact, where you have this very beautiful falling wedge pattern. Price is sitting on this daily time frame support. We have a very small space left in between these two trend lines, which means that maybe in the next few days, maybe in the next few hours, you are going to see a bigger break above this trend line. But that's going to be huge for the altcoin market, in my opinion. And I have been mentioning since the end of May that probably towards the end of June, probably in the middle of July, that's when you're going to have some sort of an altcoin rally, which is going to be huge for the markets, right? So in this situation also, you can see that total 2, although it's sitting at the resistance level, total 3 is sitting at resistance level. So one thing that you can do is you can either wait for price to break above this trend line, and the break above is not going to be enough. You need to see something like this. A complete candle close above this resistance level. This is going to be huge. Or you can simply just wait for price to drop back down to this support level. Now, this is going to be an altogether different situation. You can see that I already have an alert set for both of these situations. If price breaks above this trend line and breaks above this resistance level, I'm happy to position myself into any longs, any market long positions. Or if price drops back down to this support level, not only this is going to be a support retest, but because we had this huge deviation below this daily time frame support, this is going to be a deviation retest, and obviously it's going to be huge. And I would definitely like to take a few long positions on some of these altcoins as soon as we have a drop back down to $790 billion region on the total 3 chart. Okay, and let's hope that price, instead of dropping back down to this level, would simply in the next few hours break above this trend line, because the others.d chart is looking really, really good. But we need not just the we don't just need the break of trend line on the others.d chart or on the total 2 chart, but we would also need a positive movement on the Bitcoin chart. Okay, that's going to be very important. Now over to you guys. If you have any questions, please make sure to drop in the chat box. This is the update from my side. Amnesia is saying you guys are watching and not liking the live stream, stingy people. Yeah, that's it's the same old thing. People would just watch the live stream and not press the like button. So I request to all of you, uh, if you're actually enjoying the content, then please make sure to subscribe to the channel. Please make sure to like the live stream. If you are not following me over Twitter, 𝗟R𝘁𝗶𝗵𝗵𝗁, this is my Twitter handle. As I mentioned earlier, I occasionally post market updates and calls over my Twitter account as well. You can see that. And if you would like to receive more organized updates and calls, you can always join the Discord server. Top Cat is saying, hey Sherlock, how is it going, bro? Hey Top Cat, hope you're doing good. Thank you so much for joining in. I really appreciate that. Top Cat, for those of you who don't know, Top Cat, uh, he's basically BD from BTCC exchange. It's a very good exchange. We have been talking, negotiating with this exchange. So if we have some good deal for you guys, if we have some good deal, through that exchange, or if the exchange is good enough, if we have some sort of a partnership with that exchange, we would be sharing the link with you guys. You guys would know that we only trade on BLOFIN, okay, but I have been looking to partner up with few other exchanges also, because I realized that some of you guys are from restricted region, some of you guys have some issues trading on some other exchanges. So that is why, in order to trade at least on 𝗍𝒑𝒑 or at least on any of these shit exchanges, it would be a good idea to just trade on some of these exchanges that we are actually partnered up with, and that way we can simply just resolve any of the issues that you may have. Any market longs you are looking for, and I'm guessing if your limits get filled, no market longs until you de-risk. Yeah, if we get filled on any of our limit positions, on any of the limits that we have placed, then obviously we are not going to open 2-3 long positions, but it obviously depends on the market reaction. So far, once again, regarding any market longs, like I said, because total 2 is sitting at total 2, total 3, others.d, they are all sitting at resistance levels. So it may not really be a good idea to get into any market long positions right now, okay? Especially if you are thinking that Bitcoin may drop back down to 104.5K. Bitcoin has been literally not doing anything, just moving in the same range for the past few days, 106.5K. It refuses to go below 106.5K, okay? But remember that once we break below 106.5K, it's going to act as an equally strong resistance level. But yeah, I'm just waiting for price to drop back down to 104.5K, and that's when I would be more comfortable opening maybe 1 or 2 swing long positions. I would have no problem, because remember that only one of these coins that we have limits placed on is close to our entry point. Okay, so we have the limits placed on Pengu as well, on HFT as well, on Broccoli as well, on LQTY as well, on MAV as well, on ARB as well. Okay, and then on SEI as well. So we have limits placed on literally 8 to 9 different coins, but we are price is close to an entry point on only one of these coins, which is ARB. Okay, so if, let's suppose, price on the Bitcoin chart drops back down to 104.5K and we get filled on ARB, that's when I'm going to position into one market long position. Okay, that's when I'm going to open one market long. How do you read volume profiles? Okay, first of all, I'm not a big fan of volume analysis. I've said this in some of my previous live streams also. I'm not someone who's a big fan of volume analysis. I have seen people say that any form of technical analysis is basically incomplete without volume analysis. The only way that I'm using volume analysis in my trading strategy, you can call it an indirect way, is through the use of volume weighted average price, VWAP. So I use different variations of VWAP, be it the MTF 200 EMA, be it the YVWAP, be it the VM band, be it the anchored VWAP, be it the quarterly, yearly, anchored, non-anchored VWAPs, be it the rolling VWAP. So this is the only indirect way in which I'm using volume in my trading strategy. All right. And then, a more direct way is basically the use of volume profiles. So I use the volume profiles, and by the way, if you would ask anyone else, they would have an altogether different explanation of how do they use volume profiles. But the way that I use it is the same way that you would draw the Fib retracement levels. So the way that you would draw the Fib retracement levels is that you would try to locate an impulsive wave. First of all, you would draw the market structure, then you would find out an impulsive wave, and then you would draw the Fib retracement level from the start of impulsive wave to the end of impulsive wave, and you would expect the price to give some sort of a reaction at 65%, 70.5% Fib level, right? So this is exactly the same way that I would draw the volume profile on my charts. And I only use volume profiles in situations in which, let's suppose, if I'm looking to take a long position and the volume point of control is in the demand zone, only then I would use the volume profile. Okay. And let's suppose if I'm looking to take a short position and the point of control for the volume profile is in the premium zone, only then I would be using the volume profile. Okay. I'm only using it as an extra confluence, meaning that I'm not taking my long or short positions based on volume profile. And let me give you an example for this. If you would draw the volume profile, and by the way, this was your impulsive wave, you can see that price gave you a change of character around here. So this was definitely an impulsive wave, right? So you would draw the volume profile from the start of impulsive wave. This is a major swing low. This is a major swing high. You would draw the volume profile the same way that you would draw the Fib retracement level. So you can see that if you would draw the Fib retracement level from the start of impulsive wave to the end of impulsive wave, this is where your 70% Fib level is, right? 65% Fib level is 65%, 70.5% Fib level. Now in this situation, you can see that you have 65%, 70.5% Fib level. Then if you would draw the volume profile from the start of impulsive wave to the end of impulsive wave, you have point of control in this region, okay, aligned perfectly with 65% Fib level. And then if you would draw the daily time frame support, the daily time frame support is also present around here, okay. And on top of that, you also have this deviation below the support level, meaning that this is going to be a deviation retest. Okay, so this is how I would normally use the volume profile, just to add an extra confluence, right? If the volume profile is present or the point of control is present somewhere around here, I would simply just ignore it, or alternatively, I would simply just use it as a take profit target. Okay, this is the way that I would normally use the volume profile. It's not like a very important confluence in my trading strategy, because as I mentioned, I'm not a big fan of volume analysis myself. You draw support resistance zones so perfect when you teach us. It's very simple to draw the support and resistance levels. Okay. I think you did ask this question during the last live stream also, that how do you draw these support and resistance levels? When I first started trading, or when I first started learning about technical analysis, my biggest horror, my biggest nightmare at that time was support and resistance levels, because I really did not want to draw the SR levels, because they're highly subjective sometimes. And the other day I was teaching about support and resistance levels in one of my mentorship classes, and somebody asked me the same question, that why exactly the SR levels would work if they're simply just subjective, meaning that if you would draw the support and resistance levels, they're going to look entirely different than what I would do on my charts. Okay, but that is certainly not true. It's not like I would draw the support for Bitcoin at 98K and you would draw the support for Bitcoin at 92K. Okay, there could be a $200, $300 difference. Like I would draw at 98K, you would draw at 98.2K or 98.5K. And this is exactly the reason why we draw support and resistance levels using rectangle box. We try to cover the maximum amount of area possible. We do not draw it as a single line, because we understand that it's a range. It's not just a single point, right? So yeah, SR levels, they are not really subjective in my opinion, and all of us would draw the same way. But as I said, it used to be my biggest nightmare, and I used to look for indicators that would help me draw the SR levels on the chart. Okay, but then I learned that SR levels, they're difficult to draw because some sort of subjectivity is involved. And at the same time, there are a few key things that you need to realize before you draw the SR levels on your chart. The most important one being that you don't have to draw the 100 different SR levels on your chart, okay? The definition of SR level is that, level where price is reacting at least 3 times. So, whenever price has given a reaction at least 3 times, at a certain point, you would draw a support and resistance levels. But if you would go by that definition, you would have an infinite number of support and resistance levels drawn on your chart. So being said that, you wouldn't really draw an infinite number of SR levels on your chart. You would simply just try to, draw the levels where the maximum amount of reactions have happened in the past, right? So just try to keep it, as less noisy as possible. This is the key to draw the SR levels. And the second most important thing, I'm always telling people that you cannot draw the SR levels overnight. You're going to find it really difficult to draw the support and resistance levels on your chart, but the only way that you can make it easy is by doing it every single day, is through experience, right? So if you are doing it daily, every single day, if you are charting all of these coins every single day, drawing the SR levels on each one of these charts, consecutively over and over again for the next 5 or 6 months, I can guarantee you that you would truly master this thing. And SR levels, in my opinion, they are really, really good because there are a few complete trading strategies that revolve only around the use of SR levels. And to this date, I have multiple confluences in my trading strategy. I use support and resistance levels, trend lines, chart patterns, order blocks, fair value gaps, chart patterns, sometimes ranges as well, and a few other important things also. I can just go on. I can just go on and give you the complete list of 15 to 20 confluences that I use in my trading strategy. But the point is that to this date, all of these confluences, for example, somebody just pointed out the use of volume profiles. And I mentioned that volume profile, it's simply just a secondary confluence in my trading strategy, meaning that it's not that important. I'm not deciding if I should be taking a long or a short trade based on volume profile, or based on 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, or based on quarterly and yearly VWAP. The only confluence, I have 20 confluences in my trading strategy, and the only confluence to this date, which is the primary confluence in my trading strategy, is a single one, which is SR levels. Okay, so SR levels, as soon as I open a blank chart, the one thing that I would do is I would draw the SR levels, and based on those SR levels, I would decide if I should be taking a long trade or a short trade. It's not like based on 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, based on volume profile, based on Fib levels, based on order blocks, based on market structure. Yes, market structure is also a very important primary confluence, but apart from that, there is no other thing which would convince me to take a long or a short position other than the market structure and the SR levels. Okay, so mastering SR levels plus trend lines will be enough to be profitable. Profitability is something which is not just achievable through these trading strategies. Remember that your edge is always unique to you. Okay, so I may give you every form of information that I have, and you may still not be profitable. Okay, I have seen people who are only using one moving average, okay, just one moving average, and they are profitable using that one moving average. So the edge in the market is always unique, and it can be extremely simple also. Okay, I know that many of you are not going to believe this statement, but remember that it's not about learning all of these complex confluences. It's not about learning all of these complex trading strategies. Okay, it's about mastering one confluence or one trading strategy and sticking to it. Okay, maybe you are in a very early phase in your trading career, but after 5, 6, 7 years, you are eventually going to realize this thing, that having 20 different indicators applied on your chart, having all of these different lines drawn on your chart is not a guarantee to be profitable. Okay, you just have to keep it simple. If it's working for you, it's working for you, because at the end of the day, trading is nothing more than intelligent gambling. Okay, and you cannot just predict the outcome always. It's simply just intelligent gambling, and it's a game of probabilities, not a game of certainties. I hope it makes sense. Amnesia is asking, hey, I have been checking out a lot of prop firms currently testing FTMO, but they only have few coins. Breakout has a good selection of coins. Okay, they although delisted a lot of coins recently, but CFT, crypto funded trader, and then there is this other prop firm. They actually give you payouts. They're actually good, reputable, and they have a good selection of coins. And now most of these higher trader also. Now almost all of these prop firms basically have the Bybit integration using the API, meaning that you don't really have to worry about the selection of coins. You can simply just connect your prop firm trading account to the Bybit API, and you can trade every single coin which is available on Bybit. And Bybit almost has every single coin available for trading, which is available on any other mainstream exchange. Yes, please make sure to like the live stream. Okay, Bitcoin just had another bounce towards 107.1K. Let's see what happens the next few hours. We just had another rejection at the 1-day 12-period exponential moving average, but we are very close to having a breakout above 1-day 12-period exponential moving average. And I just wanted to give you another opinion. We can see that we have this channel in formation, and we know that whenever you have three possible rejections or bounces at a certain level, that's when the authenticity of the level is confirmed. So in this channel, we had the first rejection, the second rejection, now this is the third rejection. Okay, meaning that this channel formation has now been confirmed, and you can see that the reason why we are not able to break below 106.5K level is because of 1-day 12-period exponential moving average. 1-day 12-period exponential moving average is acting as a strong support on the Bitcoin chart. It's acting as a strong resistance on the USDT dominance chart. But Bybit is not available in the UK. Yeah, that's a main issue. I'm not a big fan of Bybit myself, to be honest, because they did freeze two of my accounts like a few months ago, back in September 2024. It was a complete misunderstanding, and they later apologized as well. But it is not my mainstream exchange. It is not the exchange that I would like to really trade on. We recently partnered with BitUnix. We are in talks with BTCC exchange as well. So yeah, if you are looking to trade on any of these exchanges, so I would actually recommend the ones that we are partnered with. Okay, not that it's going to benefit me in any case. It's just because at the end of the day, if you get into any sort of issues, we will be able to get it resolved for you. Okay, so if you get into any sort of issue with Bybit or Mexi, we may not really be able to get it resolved for you. And it's a very common thing to get into any issue with any of these exchanges. Okay, a lot many people already had their accounts frozen on any of these exchanges, like the funds logged and everything. So yeah, it would be a good idea to trade on exchange which you are actually partnered with, or which the trader that you are following is actually partnered with, so they are able to resolve it for you. Okay, and BLOFIN is really helpful in this regard. BitUnix, we recently partnered with them. So far, they have been really good. They have been providing us with every single thing, every single support. So yeah, with your own capital, that's going to be a good idea, because understand that the prop firm model has been designed in a way that it needs to take money away from you. Okay, only I was looking at the stats for prop firms, and only 0.01% people who buy these prop firm accounts actually enter into the profitable state, actually enter into the phase where they are constantly having the withdrawals. Okay, so the model has been designed in a way, the rules and everything, they have been designed in a way to make sure that you are losing as much of the accounts as possible, and you are forced to buy more and more and more accounts. Okay, so that is how basically you get $100,000 in funding just by spending like $1,000 or so. But yeah, if you look at the stats, and I was talking to one of these prop firm owners, I wouldn't reveal the name of them. It's a very popular prop firm. In fact, the most popular prop firm, crypto prop firm in the industry. And they told me that their profit margin is at 79%. Can you fucking imagine this? 79% their profit margin is. Meaning that all of the money that they are making, 75% of that money simply just goes into their own pockets. Okay, and only 30% of them, 30% of that money is spent on withdrawals, or in terms of marketings, in terms of managing everything. So you can imagine that how all these models, all these prop firm models are designed, and that prop firm is processing hundreds and thousands of dollars in withdrawals every single day, and despite all of that, they have a profit margin of 79%, which is big. Yeah, you can do that. You can experiment it on your own. Okay, that's completely on you. You can experiment it on your own. You would have to do some trial and testing. I would not recommend straight away going with a $100,000 account. Maybe just start with a $10,000 account. It's only going to cost you $50, $100. Just try to keep the risk at minimum level possible. Just try to follow the signals carefully. Just try to follow all the rules carefully. But most of these prop firms, they have some hidden rules as well. They have some very shady rules as well. So yeah, it's a dirty world. The prop firm trading model, it's a dirty world in my opinion. But yeah, if you want to, then it's a good start, because obviously you wouldn't just be losing $10,000 of your own money. You would simply just have like $100 or so. Even if you lose two, three accounts, you would only be losing $300, $400 at maximum, instead of simply just losing all of the $10,000. And another good part is that it basically helps you manage your risk properly, right? Because the rules are so strict, so eventually you will get used to of those rules, okay? And yeah, this is going to help you a lot in terms of risk management. And most of these FX traders, they normally just have their prop firm trading accounts. They don't even trade their own money. Yes, exactly. You're forced to manage your risk with these prop firms. Okay, guys, that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream. Once again, please make sure to like the live stream. Please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you are new to my YouTube channel, please make sure to subscribe to it. And also, if you're not following me over Twitter, I have a good selection of memes posted over my Twitter account. So yeah, if you're not looking for analysis, if you're not looking for calls, then maybe you can just take a look at my Twitter account, or you can follow me over Twitter for a good selection of memes. And if you would like to receive more organized updates, calls, memes, analysis, you can always join in the Discord server. The link you can find in the description of this video. Thank you so much for joining. Take care and have a great week ahead. Thank you. This is actually a good meme. Okay, guys, take care. Bye bye.